call to order the regular meeting of the Eastpointe Community Schools Board of Education, September 26th, 2022 at 6:31. Please call the roll.
Mr. Grunberg.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Ms. Rayford.
Here.
Mr. Roscoe.
Here.
Dr. Early here. Mr. Vita and Mr. Ward excused.
Okay, next, if we could stand for the pledge, Dan will lead us.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion for approval of the agenda?
Place forth a motion to accept the agenda as written.
Support.
Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Rayford.
No.
Mr. Grunberg.
Yes.
And Dr. Early, yes.
Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to accept the consent agenda as written.
Support.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg.
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford.
No.
Dr. Early, yes.
Next, we have Superintendent's report. Superintendent Gibson.
Yes, please, thank you. Good evening. I'd like to invite Ms. Aseneth Jones, principal of Eastpointe High School, and her team to the podium this evening to share more about the work at Eastpointe High School. Ms. Jones.
Good evening. Good evening. I have standing with me Mr. Eric Sarisa, our assistant principal, and Miss Fatima Thompson, our assistant principal. Please forgive me. That's been a work in progress. Haven't done it in a long time, actually. And we're here from Eastpointe High School, and we're here to present tonight to you some of our great things that are going on at our high school. Or right over on Gratiot. Next slide, please. So one of the things that I like to talk with you about, just to let you know about our enrollment, we're currently at about 937 students, and we are enrolling daily, constantly. That is with the virtual academy as well as our 8th grade. It is our total campus as of last Friday, that number. I know that that number is growing. It's a little bit down from last year as of right now, about 50 or 60 students, but we know that they're still coming in. All right, we had a new enrollment process this year, so things have been a little slow. Next slide, please. One of the good things that we're happy to report about is that our EVA is up this year. It's actually up more than it was last year. Our students are really gravitating towards a virtual process. Next slide, please. We are running a hybrid model this year. We have A and B days, but our students go to school every day. We're trying to promote that you're in school every day. You just do school from somewhere different. And so our students are in 2 to 3 days a week, but they are learning synchronously, simultaneously with their peers, and the teacher is teaching simultaneously to the students that are online as well as right inside, physically present inside the school building. All of our students have one-to-one electronic devices, a computer, a Chromebook that was issued to us by the district. Students that do not have access at home, we do give them hotspots so that they can access. And our most vulnerable students are able to come with us every day. Next slide. One of the things that we had this year, actually last week, was our open house. One of the prideful moments actually is that our open house got a lot of our community members and parents out to join with us. And on that night, we had representation from our athletic departments. We had partnerships. We have a new partnership that we have developed with Democracy for All, and we got that partnership through some communications with Board Member Roscoe. He was able to introduce us to some of those members. It's a national organization, and they've just kind of come in and did some voter drives to just engage our students. We want to make sure that our mission stays as though we are trying to produce productive citizens. And so we want to make sure that we keep that engagement going on. We also had the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated come from the Macomb chapter. They came to also bring resources to our families. We had Delta Sigma Theta, who wants to come in and also mentor. And Dr. Early is so kind that we are going to reestablish our other mentoring program that we have here at Eastpointe High School. So we had refreshments, and we just did it. We just had an awesome time opening up the door. So we invited a lot of our parents out tonight because we told them about it at our open house. And so they're here to consistently support. We're looking to build our PTA up again, and they want to be involved. And so they're looking for the good things that are coming out of our schools and here to support us, and so we appreciate that. Next slide. We started off our year this year with a lot of different things going on. One more. One of our board members, Ms. Rayford, came and we did our opening session together. And so we just thank all of the participation and support that we're getting from the board is very much appreciated. One of the programs that I want to talk to you about tonight is we have a goal at Eastpointe High School to have opportunities for our students post-secondary. We want them to have something to do when they leave us. That's the goal of education, to make sure that they're productive in society. And that's going to come through exposure. And so this year, with our counselors and our different things, we're going to be exposing them to various things. One of our counselors has set up at least 17 bookings for schools to come in and talk to our students. And what we're finding is that they are ready, not only just for college, but for our skilled trades programs. Various unions are coming back, and everyone wants to take a position in engaging our students. And so we're open to that. We're going to take them on a historically black college and university tour, actually to Ohio, where there are 2 schools there. We're going to take them there. They're going to have an opportunity to visit both of those campuses, attend a football game, and just get that kind of exposure with those alumni that are also present in the cities, in the metropolitan Detroit area, and engage with those so that they'll have something to look forward to, just opportunities. Any opportunities that we can get our kids to expose to, we want to do that. That's part of our whole child initiative, just to make sure that they're well-rounded when they leave us. Next slide. We have brought back, thanks to you all and our superintendent, the C2 pipeline. That's our partnership with Wayne State. And with that partnership, we have a lot of after-school programs that run through that. We are also have the Women of Tomorrow. It's a continuing partnership that we have. It's also a national organization in which our younger women get a chance to get exposure to all sorts of life, if you will, and get that one-on-one mentoring. They do a lot of trips, a lot of engagement sessions, and where they can talk one-on-one with members of the community. Next slide. These are just some photos of different things that we have. The Chevrolet dealer down on Gratiot adopted our baseball team, and so they took them out, got equipment, and they were actually just had a good time at Comerica Park that day, watching the Tigers game. Our girls track team, our boys track team, as you know, went to the state tournament this year. We're very proud of that. Our CTE program is still blossoming, very, very good. One of our prideful points today is that we have a partnership with Wayne County Community College, in which they're coming in, and so they're going to actually do a dual enrollment in our building, and our students will receive college course credit for that course that they're taking. So wonderful things are going on at Eastpointe High School. We invite you to come and see the good works of our students. Our culture is improving, our climate is improving, our test scores, we're working on them greatly, and we're just encouraged. We're not fully staffed the way we want to be, but we're getting there. So thank you for the support, and I can entertain any questions that you may have for us.
I have a question. Great job. Yeah, great job, Ms. Jones. How do you identify the vulnerable students for the hybrid program?
They're identified through our IEP process. They're identified that way. So we know who they are already, so we've already made those communications with their families. They have the option to come in if they wish to do so.
Okay, and with the hotspots, how many gigs are those? Are they sufficient for reaching the home? from
Yes,
the
sir.
school?
Yes, sir. They are sufficient. They have no problems through our technology department, and if they do have any issues, which we have not had any issues with them, we do have a email that they can email, as well as our technology department is on spot. They can always swipe it out if it's not working or if anything. And that goes for their regular laptops, their Chromebooks. If they have an issue, we have a tech in the building all day that can address any issues that they have. And if it's something that we can't solve that day, we never let a child go home without having a replacement device. Yes, sir.
You just used an acronym. I know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Individual education plan. Yes, for our special education students.
You understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, sir, I do.
understand what it is, and I just want everybody to understand that this is how multiple students are identified.
Yes,
Based on individual education plans.
correct, through us.
All these other students.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Each student is treated individually.
Yes, sir. They are.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank
And the team
you.
from the high school.
Thank you.
And thank you, parents, for taking the time to be here this evening in support of the high school. We appreciate it. We'll continue on with the superintendent's report. Just celebrating again the students and teachers of the year. We've seen a tremendous outpouring of affection for both Nancy Buccelli, Richard McDonald, as well as Katie Bellamonte, our high school teacher of the year. And our student of the year is Kayla Roberson. All of these individuals will be celebrated the first week in October at the Salute to Excellence. So we hope that the board and members of the community will come out to support our teachers of the year and our student of the year. We are also this evening celebrating our newly tenured teachers. This is the largest list of tenured teachers I've seen in a while from Eastpointe Community Schools. So we're very happy to acknowledge this evening Kelly Berg, Ann Hartland, Erica Lawnicki, Amanda Fraley, Richard Kopis, Makia Fullwood, John Hall, Matthew Vandenbroek, Kim Mitchell, Anita Amigliori, Michelle Lowen, and Donna Tabacini, all of whom have obtained tenure with Eastpointe Community Schools. And tenure means that you have completed 5 successful years with the school district and you have an effective or highly effective evaluation. So congratulations to all of those teachers. And we've had a lot of amazing back-to-school nights at Eastpointe Middle School. There was lots of fun to be had, parents trying to follow their children's schedules around the school, and also a fun photo booth and lots of activities. Then Crescentwood had a back-to-school barbecue night. Again, amazing turnout from our families and students. Forest Park hosted their annual Title I night. and did a fall festival with games. Again, a huge thank you to all of the families, grandparents, and parents who came out to support the school. Excuse me. And then most recently, the Eastpointe Early Learning Center celebrated their back-to-school night and has kicked off the school year in classes. We have 7 GSRP classrooms now, with another on the way to round out at 8 GSRP classrooms. We are also offering free 3-year-old preschool, and we have a waiting list currently for that program. So for those of you that have been with us a while, Eastpointe started its Early Learning Center 6 years ago with 2 ECSE classrooms, 1 Head Start, and 2 GSRP. And we are now hosting 8 GSRP classrooms. So that's a huge celebration. And if you want to know what happiness is, make an appointment to visit the Early Learning Center. That is the place where there is maximum happiness. Eastpointe High School, as Miss Jones and her team celebrated this evening, had a fantastic turnout welcoming families and students back to school. Big point of pride for Eastpointe. Our Eastpointe High School varsity volleyball team is 3-1. They won their first 3 matches in straight sets. This athletic team also has the average GPA over 3.1. So congratulations to the team. They are representing Eastpointe Community Schools in the classroom and on the courts. So registration is continuing online and in our schools. Schools of Choice does end this Friday, September 30th. We'd love to have you be part of our learning community. We do not have school tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a teacher professional learning day. For Thursday evening at 5:30, we do have volleyball against Clintondale. Now Clintondale is 2-0, and we are 3-1, so we hope that makes us 4-1, but we'll see what it brings. And then Friday evening at Cuzno, Shamrock football. And then next week, October 7th, is Eastpointe High School homecoming. And that concludes the superintendent's report. Thank you, Ms. Jones and the high school team for being part of that.
Next, we have first hearing of the public. We'll open that up at 6:48. Anyone wish to be heard? Anyone wish to be heard? Yes, sir. State your name and go into policy 3 minutes.
Adele Toma from Eastpointe. I have a couple of things I want to say about the school, the food that's been given in the schools. The reason why it's important is because if you give kids bad food, I mean, bad things are going to happen to their bodies and their learning development and everything. Now, cows, pigs, chickens, goats, and sheep, these animals all feel pain. If you want to feed corpses of innocent animals in the lunch tray, shouldn't we be taking these schools or these kids to the slaughterhouses and see this is where your food comes from, an innocent cow screaming for its life that doesn't want to die? And then on the other hand, they go home and then pet their dogs and cats and then say to themselves, I'm an animal lover. Now, what bothers me is hypocrisy of humans that say, I love animals, and then they go home and then they're shoving animals down their throat. Why don't we stop the brainwashing and teach our kids, let's really love all animals, make plant-based food available in the schools, and have a program. If you want to eat animals, okay, let's take a field trip to the slaughterhouse. You can watch the pigs being gassed to death. You can watch the chickens being killed. You can watch the cows screaming for their lives. You can watch the sheep and goats trying to escape. Now, I've worked in a slaughterhouse, and I can verify each one of these things are happening right now as I speak. So we should stop the hypocrisy, feed our children plant-based meals that come from the ground, God's food, not innocent, tortured corpses of animals in a nice little package. And then you go home and I pet your dog and pet your cat and I love animals. No, you don't love animals. You don't care about animals. You care about dogs and cats. So just stop the hypocrisy, find a way to make plant-based meals. In Switzerland, there's a school where it's all plant-based meals, and guess what? The whole year, there was not one fight, the GPA was up, and the students were happy. Because when you eat an innocent animal, you're taking in everything that animal went through. All the adrenaline is going in these kids' bodies, and as a kid, everything's impressionable, and you're taking in that food, and it'll make you violent. Eating animals makes you violent. Eating plants makes you peaceful. So my only problem is the hypocrisy. Let's stop the hypocrisy. Find a way to make plant-based meat. It's available at Kroger's. Why can't we make it in the school? Make it all plant-based. We can make plant-based meat, plant-based chicken, plant-based turkey, almond milk, coconut milk. There's even vegan eggs. Whatever you want, there's a vegan, cruelty-free version. Let's stop teaching our kids that cutting the throats of innocent animals is right. That's wrong. Okay, if we're not going to shove dogs and cats down our throat, let's not do it to innocent cows, pigs, and chickens, and let's teach our children and stop the brainwashing. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing none, first hearing of the public is closed at 7:51. Next, we have executive session item. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Place forth a motion to go into closed session at this time.
Support.
Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford,
Yes.
Dr. Early, yes.
back open at 7:04. Next, we have item 9A1. Is there a motion?
A motion to reinstate student 1-2022-23 school year.
Is there support?
Support.
Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Rayford,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes,
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Early, yes.
motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is a discussion. I asked for this to be on here, on it, and I kind of mentioned it at the last meeting as well to kind of get people thinking about this, because primarily, we as a board, I mean, first off, I'd like to celebrate the fact that all 5 of us sitting up here are certified board members by MASB. If 2 more, because we will have 2 new board members this year, if those 2 board members get certified, we will actually be a master board, which would be, as soon as they got certified. So I think we should strongly encourage them to do so, because that would be nice. But based upon that fact, it's obvious that this board is a very engaging board. They want to be engaged. I can tell that, more so than any year that I've been on this board, which we won't even talk about how long it is, but it's been a bit. But by far, I mean, when I first got on this board, very few people, the board members just didn't engage. I mean, we want to be engaged. And I think it's a good thing. And I know I've discussed it with the superintendent, and she thinks it's a good thing. And she wants to take advantage of it as much as she possibly can. Because we're a very engaging board, and on top of that, we have been through the certification, and we understand what our role is as board members. We're the 30,000-foot view. We don't run the district, but we can help out where it's appropriate, and that's a good thing to do. So I kind of wanted to just not spend a whole lot of time on this, just kind of come up with some rough guidelines that will, as a board, we reach a consensus on, because quite honestly, I think the 5 of us right now are probably more engaged in the district than the other 2 that aren't here right now. And a lot of that's because of physical reasons. So I think we should build a consensus here, the 5 of us, is exactly what we want to do as far as engagement with administration as well, so that we're not stepping on administration's toes at all. But yet, we still have the opportunity to be engaged quite a bit, and they can take advantage of that and make sure that they, if we want to do certain things in the district, they have the ability to coordinate that for us. Sure. Because I think according to the training, most everything, all our communications should filter from the superintendent on down through the chain of command. For the most part, I think that's what I was trained. It's pretty much that. Well, our organization's a little bit different. Some organizations, that's all you have is one person at the top and it's straight on down. But we're a board over top of the superintendent, so everything kind of filters down through the superintendent, I believe. And I think that's pretty much the way that they've taught us all to do it. And I think it's the appropriate way, just to keep everything good and structured and everybody's doing what they need to do. So that all being said, to try to get to consensus fairly quick, I want to bring up the first thing, which I think is something that's easy to build consensus on, to be quite honest with you. That's if we get invited. Now, I think if you get invited, that's no holds barred. Nobody has to be notified other than the people that maybe ask you to RSVP. That's it. They may say, hey, we'd like you to come by and attend this assembly. And if they want you RSVP, fine. If they don't need an RSVP and you can just show up, then just show up if you feel like it. However you want to handle it. But I think we can agree upon that. I think that's pretty safe to say, right? Anytime you get an invite, shouldn't have to be run by administration whatsoever. Somebody invites you to come on in and do something, I mean, they want a Shamrock Cafe. I think last year they did it. I think they invited us to that cafe for a meal. Mm-hmm. Things like that. We're going to get invites for that kind of stuff. Back to school events, stuff like that. Anything we get an invite for, anything open, that's cool. Right. Then to me, the discussion becomes everything else after that. And there's some areas that I think I kind of looked at. And one was, say, for instance, resources or programming that, because we get a lot of that out there, right? Right. I mean, we get exposed to a lot of stuff that we'd like to share with the district. And, I mean, that's there. And I want everybody to have the freedom to do that. So I don't want anything to have to filter through me. I look at us, we're 7 people up here. If you want to run anything just directly through the superintendent, just bypass me all day long. But I just want to make sure that administration gets involved. And can we build a consensus that seems pretty fair, that if we want to bring any type of programming or any type of even financial resources, anything like that, immediately we should have to approach administration. Does anybody want to speak to that?
Yeah, I will, primarily because each principal in the building knows what they have to do. And so what I did was to contact, actually I had Wendy contact all the principals to let them know that I was interested in volunteering and what needed to be done. So, I mean, I would never walk into a building unannounced.
Well, you're kind of touching on to the next thing, because I was looking more at like, I don't know if I should mention her program. Is it okay to safe to mention her program here? Yeah, the one she talks about all the time?
Them hats.
Hats not hate. But I'm just saying, so like if you
You'd
have a
like to use
program
that
you
as
want
an
to bring to the
example.
district, I was speaking more of that. I know, Ed, you've been talking about a young men's program, a program for young men, you know, and things like that. But anytime we want to bring, or if there's some financial resources, somebody says, hey, I want to donate some money to the district, you put them right to administration and say, hey, this is how you go about doing it. But anytime we want to bring any resources or any kind of programming to the district, that's an automatic. You touched on volunteering, but actually you said basically what, to me, seems like the most plausible thing to do. Allow administration to coordinate it for us, so that we can give them our name, that we're willing to volunteer for stuff, and if they get a hold of stuff that's volunteering, they can reach out to the principals and say, hey, you guys got anything? You got a board member here who's willing to volunteer for stuff? And let them coordinate it for us. I think that's the best thing to do. Because I think everybody in the district has to remember, if we do it, we are just volunteering in that, for that specific reason. So if we're going there to mentor a student 2 days a week in, you know, after school or something, that's what we're there for. We're not there as a board member to, you know, try to engage. That's chain of command on up to the superintendent first. 30,000-foot view kind of over here. We're just members of the community trying to help out and encourage other people to help out as well, too. I mean, does that sound fair? I mean, that's all we are. We're just, if we volunteer in these buildings, but I want everybody to understand that we're not overstepping administration in any way. Everything goes through administration. They will be coordinating that for us. So, does that sound fair to everybody?
I kind of had something to add to that.
So it sounds, for the most part, other than invites, coordinate everything through their office.
Right.
Wendy or Christina, either or, I think. Robert?
I just want to add that I request appointment through the various schools and not create an aha moment or some type of unexpected moment. We request an appointment for that particular school.
Well, so
But
you
you
would,
just cleared.
So, Mr. Roscoe, you're saying that if you're a board member and you'd like to volunteer, you might express to Wendy and I what your interest is
Sure,
in volunteering, and then we would reach out to the principal on your behalf
yes.
to set that
Set the-
condition for you?
That's what
Okay.
basically saying.
We can do that. Does the rest of the board feel that that would be an appropriate way to go about the volunteering?
yeah, and the only other one that I had, other than volunteering, and it has happened before, is just you want to visit a building. You don't necessarily want to volunteer, no nothing. You just kind of want to go in, walk around the building, check out things, see how things are going. Maybe you might want to go into elementary. It might be just after school, lunchtime, something like that. You just want to see the pictures on the wall or whatever, you know. We do have an awful lot of work going on to our facilities. You know, we may want to go in and see our facilities. I know I've been invited to a school. They're excited about the new floors and the new offices. And I noticed on the slides that we had up there for the Early Learning Center, there were some really nice looking floors in those slides too. So, and we now have signs out in front of the building so everybody understands that we have this work going on. And we want to see that too as well.
Right.
You know, so there's all kinds of stuff. So if you want to visit the building, that's the only question I have. Should we do just straight to the building principal, you think, and arrange it with them, or still probably through you just to coordinate it? Is that easy enough?
I would prefer that those are coordinated.
Because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of
So that
them
our-
over the course of a year, maybe a handful. But
Yeah, so that the building principals aren't inundated with multiple requests.
Right.
So that if Dr.
Ah, yeah,
Early
yeah,
and
yeah, I
Mr.
get you.
Roscoe both are asking to come in and look at a facility, that I could try to coordinate those so that they're both coming at the same time. I think it would be a lot for a principal to have to manage 7 board members. I see that being, part of our responsibility.
Okay, the only other thing that I would say to that is, I know I've offered Ms. Jones as well as some of the other principals that if you need some help, let me know, give me a couple of days head up, and I'll be more than happy to go in and help do
Well-
whatever I could do. So my point is, if you're saying now that it needs to go through Chrissy or Wendy, are we saying that they need to let Chrissy or Wendy know what they want before?
Well,
contacting
I would say right now, your name is on a list. I think of all people sitting up here, your name is on a list.
Yeah, I know.
Wouldn't that fall under?
Mary has made her
But I'm just saying, we're well aware
open to
that
everyone, yes.
you want to volunteer.
Well, I just
So,
wanna help.
no, you want to know what? Hey, I'm thinking about me, because in a
love it.
couple of years, I think I'm going to be in your shoes too, where I'm going to have the time available. So I want to make sure that this is going to be smooth for me, because I enjoy the kids. I enjoy being around the kids and helping out the staff. I mean, we know their struggles that they're going through, and I mean, whenever we can volunteer, and if they want us to come in and read, and it affords them a break so they can take 5-10 minutes to go do something, then so be it.
Or
But
bathroom break.
if we have our name on a list, I'm sure she's gonna give it to all the principals and say, hey, we got some built-in volunteers here, I mean, if you need anything here, then just give me some contact. And I think she, on the same respect, will reach out to everybody in her buildings right now after this meeting and let them know, if you're looking for volunteers, please forward them over to the administration office so that we can make sure we're coordinating.
The other reason I think that that's a good idea is, I don't want you as board members to ever be in a situation where you put yourselves out to volunteer, and then one school asks for you to volunteer and you don't, or that you're getting inundated with requests from our schools to volunteer. Like, this is all very new to have a board that wants to be engaged. I don't want the board to be in a position where then you're feeling bad about, or that your time is being maximized such that you burn out from the spirit of volunteerism, and hopefully our office can help to field those and vet the jobs that our staff might be asking for.
Well, yeah, because I was thinking that could kind of go two ways, because there may be one out there that they may throw at you, and I'll just throw a wild one out there. They may say, hey, Miss Rayford, we'd like a hands-on demonstration on a bandsaw. Would you be willing to, you know what I mean, volunteer? Now, you may be able to, you might be able to,
I bet
but
Mary could
still, there
handle
could be
the
somebody out
bandsaw.
there who would feel uncomfortable doing something like that, right? And they can say, well, maybe reading would be better for me instead of something like that, because I've never done that before, right? So it can work both ways. So there may be things out there that you throw at us, we may say, I'm not too keen on that one, to tell them thanks, but no thanks this time, but, ask again. So,
Okay, I want to, but I don't need to clarify something too, because I know like the mentor group that we used to have at the high school, they want to come back. But I'm a part of that group that does the mentoring every week.
Yeah, we were doing that once
Yeah.
a week, every week,
Yeah.
on a day that the principal selected for us to come in, usually during the lunch hour.
But it's orchestrated through
Yes.
a group that is expressing. So the group would reach out to the superintendent's office
No,
to establish
like,
those?
no, I'm
Or-
saying like Love Life used to do the girls mentoring and boys mentoring. And so I was one of the volunteers that went with them in the building.
but you were part of an outside group.
But I was a part of the outside groups. I had a separate ID that
Yeah.
was a volunteer ID.
I don't think I'm going to
That's
split.
okay.
I don't think we're going to split hairs over
Okay,
that.
I don't,
We're not gonna-
re-clarify.
Nobody up here wants to split hairs over
You'd
something like that,
You'd be
right?
cleared through the organization that you would be volunteering with.
Okay.
And then we would be, as a district, coordinating those efforts. I
Yeah.
don't know that I see that as the same. Do you?
Well, you're already coordinating
We're
with the
already
group, so if you're
coordinating
just
with
one
the
of the
group.
people that's one of their volunteers, it's already being coordinated.
Yeah, so I don't wear the badge for board member, I wear the badge for Love Life.
And so is that an expectation that the board would have, that if you're volunteering as a board member, you would wear your
Well, I hope not, because I don't never had it bad, you know.
That was
Thank
just
you,
a
Dr.
joke.
Early.
She messed it.
Are we all good?
Thanks, Mr. Williams.
Are we all pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay, and your fingers were going pretty good there, Wendy? So I just want to let everybody know, please make sure to read the minutes this time coming up, to make sure that everything is in the minutes, because she kind of put in the minutes roughly about what we were discussing, so we can kind of make sure that we understand everything that we did, because it sounds like we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
So let's
Now-
just make sure that the page is what page we were all on.
One more question. When you said initially, when you're being invited in as opposed to setting a scheduled appointment, if you're invited in by a principal or
Oh.
administrative staff, that's,
We get emails all the time, March is reading month, right?
yeah,
We all get them. You're invited, go.
okay.
Yeah, that's a direct invite. You don't have to worry about that. You ever get a direct, we get, our invites for graduation, I don't think goes through her office. We usually get a direct invite from the coordinator, right? So when you get direct invites, no, I mean, an elementary may have your name and want you to come by for a daytime celebration they're having for their students or something. They
And
might
our
directly invite you, and that's
expectation of
fine.
our administrative staff is to let us know anytime that they're reaching out to you, and requesting board member presence at events.
Yeah.
We've conveyed
And-
that
and-
to. our
And I think that's a really good thing, because it shows that we're supporting what they're doing.
Okay.
So when they invite and some of us show up, especially those that are available, that's great.
Well, I know everywhere I've been asked to sign in. I have no problem with that because I understand the security precaution
Oh, yeah.
with signing
Oh, yeah.
in, making sure everybody knows who's in the building.
Okay, sounds like we're good there. Then the next thing is technology. All these tenured teachers want some computers, I think. Oh, never mind.
Good evening.
Well, that's a Robert thing? That's a Robert thing.
Good evening, board members. This evening, I have a request from our technology coordinator, Danny Latham, to purchase 30 Lenovo laptop computers for teacher use. We like to keep an inventory on hand for when we get new hires, so that when they come in, the laptop is loaded with their software and ready to go. And his initial inventory is almost depleted, so this is to replenish that inventory. 30 laptops are priced from a consortium, and the cost is $45,329.20. And that will be charged to one of our federal grants. Any questions on that?
Do we know which one exactly?
It'd be ESSER 3.
Just so I can be clear, because I'm a little slow. Those is 30 additional computers,
Correct.
and all the other teachers have computers.
Yes.
And what, do you have an extra set of computers in case something breaks?
Yeah, he
Just an
has,
accurate number.
yeah, so this would be part of that inventory. When a computer goes down, he would go to this
A lot of computers.
allotment of computers, correct?
Are these the same as the other ones that they already have?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion to
Okay.
approve?
That motion to approve purchase of the computers for the teachers.
Support.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, please call the vote.
Ms. Rayford,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes?
and Dr. Early, yes.
Okay, next we have second hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard? Does anyone wish to be heard?
Del Toma from Eastpointe. I have a question. The way the city council works is you go up and then you tell them your concerns and they don't answer during that meeting. And I've been to other councils in other cities where during that meeting, they get together or they'll talk about it or discuss it and then they'll give you an answer. Now, the way the city council works here is sometimes they just ignore you flat out. I'm hoping you guys aren't like that. So my question is, how do you find out who's in charge of who's the person that decides what food goes in the cafeteria? Who decides if it's this, if it's that, number one. And number two, how can you request to change that food? So my question is, who's the person that's in charge of that? And how can you get it changed? And I don't know if you guys discuss it here, if you'll get back with me, or I don't know how it works, but.
I have a suggestion, I mean, if you're done.
Mhm.
Okay. My suggestion would be is that my email address, I believe is on the website. If you have some questions, send them my email address. I'll make sure they get forwarded to administration.
And then they'll get back with me?
I sure hope so.
Okay,
If
sounds
you
good.
ask a question they can answer, I'm quite sure they will answer you.
Okay, sounds good. That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close that at 7:30 or 7:25. Next, we have trustee announcements. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to all the parents, teachers, and everyone in the audience and everyone watching for allowing me to be a trustee of such a great and welcoming school board. Congratulations to all the new hires. I want to commend Mrs. Jones and all the staff at the high school for doing such a great job thus far in welcoming the students and continuing to do so. Thank you to the administration and superintendent for doing a great job thus far. We have a long way to go, but looks like we're off to a great start. Congratulations to the girls volleyball team, the boys football team, and all the sports that are starting to rear up for the school year. I plan to try to get to some of these events once my health and stuff allows me to. But again, thanks for everything and keep up the good work. Go Shamrocks.
Ms. Rayford.
Thank you. A couple of things I wanted to comment on, primarily because I want the public to understand why I do the things that I do. I am not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance until such time that everyone's rights are recognized. I will not support anything that strips a woman of her rights to choose what she does. Second thing is, one of the reasons I voted no and will continue to do so regarding the agendas is because, first of all, there are some issues with that that I wanted to discuss before, and it didn't happen. And one of them was we don't need to approve the expense reports or the new hires that are already done. And I have found mistakes in the minutes, and I think part of the problem is if it's included or embedded in a consent agenda, I don't know who's reading them or who's trying to catch the errors, but there are several things that really need to be separate items in hopes that everyone is reading everything. I'm really glad that all the athletic teams are doing great. I wish I could say I would be there, but I don't drive in the dark. I would hate for anyone to be out there and I couldn't see them, because it is a potential problem. So we can and should do everything we can to make sure that the board runs efficiently, that we meet the needs of all the students, and include all the community input that we can get. And with that, I'm finished.
Dr. Early.
I really just want to say tonight that I love to see the progress of our students. There is nothing more important in this district than the success of our students. Our teachers do what they can with what they have, and sometimes it's not everything that they need, but they're still using those things to get our students where they need to be in life. Every student is not going to be a college student. Every student is not going to be what society says is considered successful. But if you keep trying to reach for success, that is what we need to go for. We need not try to be that community that everybody agree with everything. We have to learn how to agree to disagree and be okay with it. Be all right with it. We can't think that one way is the best way, because it's not, because that's what make us separate. You will never see me outside of that football game because I don't like sports, except baseball. So you won't see me doing that. But if you ask me to come to the building and it's some art stuff, I'll probably bring it all with me because that is what I like. And so let's stop trying to make it everybody conform to everything, because we're not ever going to have that. We're not going to have 100% conformity because we're all different. We have so many gifts. Let's use those gifts and stop trying to make everybody just like you.
Mr. Roscoe.
I would like to congratulate Principal Jones for a great job, her and her staff over at the high school. All the sports, track, football, volleyball, etc. And for the community, finally, parents and the community becoming stakeholders, for which they are stakeholders in this whole endeavor in this district, and the administration that I'm warranted to serve up under. Thank you for giving me that opportunity of the community as well as this administration. That's all I have.
Okay, I have three to Principal Jones. Thank you for working on promoting the culture that you are over at the high school. I think it's the right culture for our students. Also, I did admire what I consider your tool bag. It's a little different than my tool bag. Your tools are a little different than mine, but mine are actually hand tools, where yours are educational tools. But and then the second thing was to the tenured teachers. My sister is a retired teacher, and I remember how important it was to her to gain tenure, and I think it's a wonderful thing. And I look to many, many more years out of you. Thank you. And then the ELC, Early Learning Center. Yeah, it's getting a lot busier. I think I kind of noticed a little bit. I want to let them know that I have not heard any complaints from the neighbors as far as the traffic. I was over there, past there a couple days in high traffic times, I guess you could say, in the last week. So, but I want to caution two sets of people. To the drivers, be very, very careful. There's a lot of traffic there, and we want to keep it as safe as we can for our students. But we have a lot of students attending that school, and a lot of them get back and forth by car, because I think we have very limited transportation for our students in the Early Learning Center. So a lot of them are traveling by car. I think that's primarily because we need more bus drivers, right? So if you know somebody who knows how to drive a bus, send them our way. We're fine with that. But anyway, so there's a lot of car traffic there. So the set of persons is to the drivers. And secondly, to the parents taking your students in and out, please make sure you hang on to that hand, so that that student doesn't run off on you. Because I speak from past experience. I was the kid who did not have my hand being held. I shouldn't have had to at that age, but I was hit by a car because I wasn't paying attention. But I know how devastating it was on the driver. Because I saw that driver, they lived in my community, and I saw them on a regular basis. And I know how devastating it was to that person. So let's try to prevent that as much as possible. And I'm quite sure our elementaries, because most of our elementaries are maxed out as well too, right? Or close to it. We're pretty high capacity on most of our elementaries, so those are young ones too. But even the older ones, sometimes they're on those phones and they're not really paying attention either, so you might want to watch them. I had one of my older kids, they were walking, and I said, hey, step off to the side and stop if you're going to do that. Don't be walking. Pay attention to where you're going. So, anyways, that's about it. And I did notice the floors, And that's happening in every building. I want to make sure everybody understands that. There is a lot of improvements going on in this district physically, and there will continue to be so. And I hope we support that and continue to support that. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:34.